A baby was about to die when a nurse had an unexpected idea to place the little girl next to her twin sister in the same incubator. No one could have predicted that this simple act would result in a true miracle. Kylie, an experienced and dedicated nurse, was at the end of an exhausting shift of almost 18 hours at the busy hospital. As she took off her uniform, her thoughts were already fixed on the well-deserved rest that awaited her at home. "What a tiring day, for God's sake," she muttered to herself, feeling the weight of the journey she had faced. During that day, Kylie had dealt with a flood of difficult and urgent cases. From cardiac emergencies to amputations and accidents with serious injuries, she had moved through several departments of the hospital, each requiring specific skills and a huge dose of patience and empathy. Regardless of the complexity or the physical and emotional strain, Kylie always dedicated herself to the maximum, treating each patient with special attention. The clock on the wall indicated that her shift was only 20 minutes away, and the prospect of finally being able to go home was almost a palpable relief. "I can't wait to take a shower and fall into bed," she thought, feeling every muscle in her body cry out for rest. The young nurse knew that her profession was demanding, but the accumulated fatigue of that particular day made her desire for a well-deserved rest even more intense. However, little did she know that, before she went home, one last task awaited her, a decision that would ultimately save a life and further strengthen her determination to continue practicing this challenging profession. She took great pride in her work, but the physical and emotional toll was something that could not be ignored. After an exhausting 18-hour shift, the rest that awaited her was more than deserved. However, as she was getting ready to finally leave, a desperate sound of screams echoed through the hallway, cutting through the silence. A pregnant woman had just arrived at the hospital, already in labor. One of the obstetricians, visibly exhausted and overwhelmed, ran towards Nurse Kylie. "Please help me. Only you can help me here. She's giving birth right now." The urgency in the doctor's voice made Kylie, who was about to switch off professional mode, feel adrenaline start to rush through her body, replacing the fatigue that had accumulated. "She's having the babies now," Kylie repeated, surprised, as her mind quickly processed the situation. The woman was pregnant with twins and labor had started about 12 weeks early. With an inner strength she never knew she had, Kylie hurriedly put her scrubs back on, any trace of exhaustion overshadowed by an unwavering determination. Wasting no time, she ran toward the maternity ward, her every step marked by the urgency of the situation. As she entered the delivery room, she was met with a tense scene. The mother, in a state of panic and pain, was visibly terrified by the prematurity of her daughters. "Are they going to be okay?" she asked, her voice trembling and filled with fear. Kylie, remaining calm, responded firmly and calmly, "We'll do everything we can." Wasting no time, she began to prepare everything for the birth of the babies, aware that every second was crucial. With precision and focus, Kylie and the medical team worked in perfect harmony to ensure the safety of the mother and the twins. She knew that this moment required the utmost of her skill and dedication, and she was ready to face any challenge that came her way to ensure that these little lives had the best possible chance. Years of training and experience had prepared the nurse for moments like this, but each premature birth brought with it new challenges and uncertainties. She knew that, despite all her experience, each situation was unique and required her full attention to every detail. Concentrating meticulously, the nurse made sure that everything was ready for what was to come. It promised to be an exhausting night, but also full of rewards, a reminder of why she had chosen nursing as her calling. The birth of the twins became a race against time, surrounded by palpable tension. The mother, already exhausted and anxious, had to undergo an emergency cesarean section due to complications. Desperate, She asked repeatedly in a voice shaking with concern. "Are the girls okay? Can someone tell me something?" Beside her, her husband shared her anguish, holding tightly to his wife's hand and searching the doctor's expressions for any sign of hope. "Please tell me our daughters are okay," their father pleaded as the highly trained medical team moved quickly and precisely to deliver the babies into the world. After their birth, the extremely premature twins were immediately intubated and placed in separate incubators, beginning a fight for survival that was far from over. Kylie watched the tiny babies with a heavy heart. They were so fragile, each measuring only about 10 inches. The nurse wondered about the baby's chances of survival, feeling deep concern as she watched the parents crying next to the incubators. Without hesitation, Kylie approached them, offering words of comfort and support. "We're going to do everything we can to make sure your girls are okay. We want to see them strong and healthy," she said, trying to convey a mix of hope and realism. The couple, visibly shaken, clung to Kylie's every word, seeing in her a beacon of hope amidst the darkness of uncertainty. They stood by the incubators, watching their daughter's every movement, every small breath, looking for any sign of improvement. After a grueling shift, Kylie was finally able to go home, but the rest she had been longing for did not come in the form she had hoped. Instead of a peaceful, restful sleep, she found herself drowning in thoughts and worries about the twins. Even as she tried to relax in a bubble bath, her mind was full of questions about the future of the little girls. Kylie knew that the baby's mother had a rare infectious genetic condition, something that could have been passed on to the girls. Could they have been born with the same disease? She asked herself incessantly, the worry about the fate of the twins not letting her rest. Even with the warm water of the tub enveloping her body, Kylie could not calm her restless spirit. As her muscles relaxed, her mind was constantly racing, pondering what the next few days might bring. They would be days of intense observation, rigorous testing, and possibly even greater challenges. Despite the exhaustion that consumed her, she felt a deep connection to the children she had helped bring into this world. She knew that their fight was just beginning and that as a nurse, she would do everything in her power to help them overcome each obstacle. These thoughts were running through her mind as Kylie finally gave in to her exhaustion and fell asleep. She was fully aware that difficult times lay ahead, but it only strengthened her resolve to fight for the twins every step of the way. As the days passed, the entire hospital cheered on Louise and Melissa's development. Although motherhood was not Kylie's usual area of expertise, she made sure to set aside time during her breaks to visit the little ones. She felt deeply connected to them and closely monitored their progress whenever she could. Kylie would talk to her parents, trying to instill strength and hope in them. "They are fighters," she would say, "and we are all here for them." Her affection and dedication became a comfort to the couple, who spent hours next to the incubators, watching their daughter's every little movement. However, despite the optimism and tireless efforts of the medical team, new challenges arose, testing the resilience of everyone involved. Louise, the older twin, surprised everyone with her positive development, even though she was born at just 6 months of gestation. Despite her initial fragility, she proved to be a strong baby, with a will to live that captivated everyone around her. Her curious eyes and steady breathing were signs that she was recovering well, and each small step forward brought a wave of hope to the medical team and, especially, to her parents. However, the situation was different with her little sister, Melissa. Unlike Louise, Melissa was unable to keep up with the pace of development. Her progress was slower, and her health remained fragile, which left her parents deeply worried and distressed. "Why isn't our daughter responding?" her mother asked, tears streaming down her tired face, while her father, frustrated and terrified at the possibility of losing one of his girls, went to the doctors in search of answers. Is there nothing we can do? Is there nothing we can do to help her? I want my daughter to be well. She needs to survive, the father pleaded, holding his wife's hand tightly, who in turn seemed to be collapsing under the weight of fear and uncertainty. The doctors, despite all their efforts, could not find a definitive explanation for Melissa's situation. Unfortunately, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, we still do not fully understand what is happening, explained one of the doctors, with a worried look on his face. We are doing more studies to see if the girls could have inherited the disease from their mother. Louise's tests have not shown any worrying results, but Melissa, we are still trying to understand why she is not responding as we expected. These words, although said with the intention of offering some clarity, only increased the despair of the parents, who continued to struggle with the uncertainty of a future that they hoped would be different for their two daughters. The medical team tried to explain with a combination of professionalism and compassion that Melissa's condition could be a rare response to neonatal treatment. Meanwhile, Kylie, watching from afar, felt a deep sadness for the couple, with whom she had developed a strong bond due to their attachment to the twins. The situation was already delicate, but it took an even more alarming turn. During one of her breaks, Kylie witnessed a moment of panic. Melissa's skin began to turn purple, and her rapid breathing quickly became dangerously shallow. The parents, standing in despair next to the incubator, began to cry and cry for help. "My daughter. Save her, my God," screamed the mother, as doctors and nurses rushed to try to stabilize the situation. Melissa's condition quickly worsened, with her heart rate becoming so low that it almost stopped completely, plunging the hospital into a state of shock and grief. Despite multiple attempts to stabilize her and the running of countless tests, nothing seemed to work. During one of her daily visits to the twins, Kylie entered the neonatal care room and noticed that, apart from the parents, there was no member of the medical team present. Given the gravity of Melissa's situation, the nurse felt driven by a mixture of desperation and intuition to make an unconventional decision. Approaching the couple, she spoke in a determined but soft voice. "I really want to try something, if you'll let me." Kylie then explained that she had read studies and reports of cases in which physical proximity between twins, even in critical conditions, seemed to promote better development and offer some relief. Even though she knew it was an unconventional approach and that there was no guarantee of success, the nurse believed that the bond between Louise and Melissa could be the key to a possible improvement. With the parents' consent, she decided to try this method, driven by a hope that, at that moment, seemed to be the only thing they had left. The young nurse suggested the possibility of conjoining the twins, an idea that challenged conventional medical practices, especially considering the suspicion of a genetic disease inherited from their mother. However, in such critical situations, extraordinary measures are often necessary. Kylie considered the risks involved in placing the twins together, but felt that this special bond between the two could be the difference they were looking for. With the girl's mother begging for any attempt to save her daughter, Kylie knew this was an opportunity she could not ignore. With a determination that surprised her, she seized the moment when no one else was in the room, opened Melissa's incubator and, with the utmost care and delicacy, began to disconnect the machines that kept the little girl fighting for her life. Melissa was so fragile that every movement required extreme attention and sensitivity. "Come on, Melzinha. You need to be strong now," the nurse whispered as she carefully adjusted the baby's position next to her sister, Louise. Placing Melissa next to Louise was a moment fraught with emotion and tension. Kylie knew she needed to get the baby's life support back on quickly, as Melissa couldn't bear to be without life support for even a second. After successfully completing this task, the nurse sighed in relief, but apprehension still lingered in the air. Now, all she could do was watch the monitors and the girl's vital signs closely, anxiously waiting for any sign of improvement that this close contact might bring. Kylie's heart was pounding, reflecting the mix of anxiety and hope that filled the room. The twins' parents, standing next to the incubators, could barely contain their tears. Their every movement, their every breath, was watched with almost reverent attention as they held their hands in silent support. "Please let this work," their mother whispered, her eyes fixed on her daughters, as if her will could influence fate. After ensuring that Melissa was properly settled next to Louise, Kylie took a step back, knowing that she had done everything in her power. Now all that was left was to wait and hope that the special connection between the sisters could make a difference. Watching the twins together in the incubator, Kylie couldn't help but think, I hope the bond between twins really does have the power they're rumored to have. She then told the parents that she would leave them alone for a moment, promising to return soon to resume her shift. However, no one could have predicted what would happen next. Before Kylie could even open the door, the doctor's sudden entrance into the neonatal ward brought a wave of tension. The obstetrician, upon seeing the twins lying side by side, nearly stumbled in surprise. "Are you crazy, Kylie? Don't you know they can get infected?" the doctor shouted, already moving to separate the babies, her expression a mix of shock and indignation. The nurse, feeling the growing pressure, tried to explain what had led her to make such a risky decision. "I just thought," she began, but was abruptly interrupted by the doctor, who insisted that such a decision was reckless. "You shouldn't have done that without permission. What were you thinking?" The argument escalated quickly, with raised voices and conflicting opinions filling the room. The obstetrician was already lifting the incubator lid to separate the twins when, suddenly, something completely unexpected happened. Something that seemed like a true miracle began to unfold before everyone's eyes. The monitors that were closely monitoring the baby's vital signs began to show a surprising change. The most notable was Melissa's, whose heart, which until then had been beating weakly and irregularly, threatening to stop at any moment, began to gain strength. As if in an act of almost magical synchrony, her heartbeat aligned with that of her sister, Louise, who continued to develop healthily. "What's happening?" the obstetrician murmured, perplexed. Everyone in the room was stunned, unable to take their eyes off the monitors that were now telling a new story. The medical team, who had been on the verge of despair moments before, found themselves open-mouthed, exchanging looks of disbelief and admiration. "This is impossible," they whispered among themselves, still trying to comprehend the turn of events they were witnessing. Within minutes, Melissa's little heart, which had been on the verge of failure, began to stabilize, beating with a regularity that seemed like a dream. The doctors rushed to perform every possible test, trying to understand what had changed. Meanwhile, the girls' parents, overcome by overwhelming emotion, cried with relief and joy, seeing their daughter's heart, which had been so fragile, beat with renewed strength. It was as if a breath of life had passed through her, restoring not only her strength, but also the hope of everyone around her. Once again the parents cried out, "Oh, God, she's going to be all right, our little girl." Emotions filled them, as if new hope had been reborn. It was a sign that little Melissa, against all odds, could indeed survive. The little girl was showing incredible strength, which left one of the doctors amazed at her recovery. Kylie, naturally, could not hold back her tears. Her heart was beating strongly, in sync with the baby's, as she witnessed the miracle of a life fighting to continue. In the days that followed, the extraordinary continued to happen. Melissa began to respond phenomenally. Her skin, previously pale and purple, gradually regained a healthy color, while her organs began to show signs of development. The two sisters, now together in the same incubator, slept in each other's arms. Louise, with one arm over her still fragile sister, seemed to offer silent support, as if she knew that her presence was essential to Melissa's recovery. This connection between the two was palpable, a moving demonstration of the power of the sisterly bond. No one would believe it if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, the two sisters holding each other, defying all odds. Months passed and, against all odds, little Melissa grew into a strong, healthy baby, a true medical miracle. Kylie's bold decision to place the sisters together in the same incubator was an act of courage and intuition that undoubtedly saved the twins' lives. What began as a story of despair and fear became an inspiring tale of resilience and love. The courage of a nurse, the inexplicable strength of the sisters' bond, and the hope that emerged even in the darkest moments left a profound impression on everyone who witnessed this miracle in the hospital. The journey of these girls is a powerful reminder that even in the face of the greatest adversity, love and faith can accomplish the impossible. After that event in the neonatal ward, Louise and Melissa's story quickly spread, gaining attention not only in the local community, but also in the national media. The babies, now known as the Miracle Babies, became a symbol of hope and resilience, while the hospital where they were treated gained notoriety for the extraordinary case. The girls' parents were frequently interviewed, sharing their moving story and the incredible turnaround they had witnessed. They spoke with deep gratitude and admiration for Kylie, the nurse who, driven by her intuition, made the courageous decision to place the twins together in the same incubator. Kylie, in turn, became known for her intuitive and heroic actions. When asked about the origin of the idea, she explained that she had read about studies conducted in Europe that suggested that when twins were placed together, they often improved more quickly. Although there was no definitive scientific evidence, Kylie said, "The connection between two people has always fascinated me." The surprising revelation about Kylie is that she herself was a twin, which explained her particular interest in this issue. Since childhood, she and her brother, Kevin, have always been extremely close, sharing a special connection that inspired their decision on that crucial day. "I can always tell when he's not feeling well, so I figured maybe the babies could feel each other's presence too," the nurse explained. Thanks to this intuition and the special bond between twins, Melissa's life was saved in a near-miraculous way. Months later, the girls left the hospital in the arms of their parents, surrounded by applause and admiration. It was a moment of pure joy and celebration. Kylie, who had developed a deep friendship with the family during her treatment, was asked to become the twins' godmother. She accepted with great excitement, feeling honored to be a part of the girls' lives in such a meaningful way. Over the years, Kylie became not just a godmother, but a loving aunt, a figure who symbolized hope and unconditional love. As Louise and Melissa grew, their strength and happiness became evident to everyone around them. They developed into healthy, vibrant children, always sustained by the special bond they shared. The story of the Miracle Twins and their intuitive nurse has become a reminder of the often untapped power of human connection, especially between twins. It's a story that reaffirms the belief that sometimes these inexplicable connections can bring healing and miracles, even in the darkest of times. And if you liked this story, the next video that is appearing on your screen will certainly move you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our next videos. A big kiss and see you in the next exciting story.